The year that changed everything. After 8 VRLOGs in 2022 and recreating the Back to the Future ride, I was ready to push VR180 into the mainstream, leveraging my Guinness record. And the motivator for all this? My goal was by the end of this year, I never wanted to drive that car.
Well, I mean, if you keep saying it, chances
I never want to drive that car again.
are-
I never want to drive it. Yeah, after nearly 10 years, I was done. Rent the DeLorean was an incredible adventure that took me around the world, but if you know me, I really like the challenges of new frontiers. And boy, were there challenges with VR180. To start, YouTube capture videos at 4K, and 8K is really necessary for a convincing VR180. But because of the longest vlogger streak, I had to upload everything there to keep that going. I also uploaded to Meta TV as it streams 8K, but has no way to easily subscribe or even see what you've subscribed to, forcing you to type my name each time to check to see if there's a new video. That's awful. Newcomer DOVR has a better subscription section and allows you to monetize, so now a third upload for each video is necessary. Multiple thumbnails for every upload, by the way, as they all have different requirements. The problem here, it locks everyone out unless you pay $10 a month for premium, and the only people that do that want to see bikini models. So you either make everything free or get hardly any views for hardly any money. But I believed content was king, and right off the bat, a visit to Super Nintendo World before the general public should do the trick. Of course, that meant using a gimbal, which is a big no-no in VR180 because of motion sickness, but I thought I could pull it off, and thanks to some shortcuts in post-production, I'd be able to avoid that motion sickness by actually editing it in my headset. Contacted every VR and Nintendo outlet, and got 0 replies. No one was interested. And a quick scan of VR videos on Meta TV will tell you why. It's a complete mess of quality. Blurry 360-degree videos that require you to spin around and turns viewers off almost immediately. So I decided to make a film specifically for those people, those YouTubers. Help, the VR enthusiasts that gave up on video. Living in 2033. Not only explaining what was coming up in mixed reality glasses of the future, but showing it. Showing that it'll allow for flat viewing in a space, but also immersive when you want to. It will be how we watch our content in the future. But again, the VR community was already soured on VR video and no one responded. VR was for gaming and nothing else. Undeterred, I did a 5-part series for Manhattan, which was an incredibly difficult task as I had to maintain a workflow for these large files over an entire vacation, while also making certain I didn't miss anything as the first vlogger. Overnight file transfers and multiple drives allowed the family to have a great time while I got to experiment running around the busy streets of New York, telling stories without making people sick. Then an event with the DeLorean in San Francisco introduced what was easily the biggest get of VR180's short life. Meeting Christopher Lloyd in VR. You're in VR, sir.
All right.
Wow. At this point, I knew I had to make a reel hyping up the format. I now had enough varied footage to basically prove to doubters that this was the future. So I made every video free, stopped worrying about building an online following. I needed the most eyes on these videos as possible. The VR180 Revolution video blew people away when I showed it to them in person, so I knew I was on the right track. And my family was off to Costa Rica and even more testing for this format. And then lightning struck. Apple announced that their headset would be work and entertainment based, and basically showed off what I had already predicted in the Living in 2033 video. There would be a home for this content. The question would be, how would I get ahead of everyone else before it launched? And a trip to my hometown of Columbus, Ohio changed everything. From my longtime friends Randy Malloy and Brian Phillips at my old radio station, I got the biggest meeting possible with the Cleveland Guardians AAA affiliate, the Columbus Clippers. I showed them the VR180 Revolution, and they in turn gave me full access to a game to do whatever I wanted, creating the greatest sports footage this format has ever seen. After nearly a year with this camera, I finally nailed the movements, I understood the color grading and dealing with these massive raw files, but more than anything, I could overlay 3D graphics in such a realistic way they didn't interfere with the action on screen, which is crucial for sports. And I could turn it around in days, not weeks. So I hit up some baseball and basketball contacts, and I asked everyone I knew to please share it with anyone they knew in the sports world. Almost immediately, a producer at the NFL responded and paid for a test to shoot a Rams game, and the result, I can't even show you. It's killing me because the result was so good, so beat you over the head impressive, it made me lose my own shit just watching it because I knew it was undeniable. No major sports league could watch this and not want to be part of it. Everyone at the NFL saw it, and they're sending me to the Super Bowl in February and are certain this will sell to either Meta or Apple, setting up the craziest 2024 imaginable. When a company as big as the NFL says, yeah, this is the future, everyone has to listen. They are the format now. The craziest part of all that, I left out going to New Zealand to shoot a spec documentary for some Google employees. Every major media company can feel this coming. Apple's headset announcement changed the entire landscape, and no one wants to be left behind. And for the first time in my life, being a pioneer is paying off. I mean, sure, I got a nice plaque for being the first and longest running vlogger, but I was too early to properly monetize that, and honestly, thank goodness, because I would have burned out so quickly. No, this time I'm early, and the results stand out from others, and it has already paid massive dividends, even if it ends at the Super Bowl. Life-changing dividends may be right around the corner. But there will never be another year like 2023. A year where I just kept believing in a vacuum that I could change the industry. I mean, I ended up doing 65 VR films this year. That's a gargantuan undertaking at 8K 60 RAW, and I adore that it took going back to my hometown and having my friends at CD929 now, introduce me and my VR180 Revolution reel to the Columbus Clippers. So here's the 2024, and hopefully you guys get to see this NFL footage, because it fundamentally changes what fans will think of as access to the players. Oh, Happy New Year.